And joining us right now is Joe Parolini, former general manager of the old Toronto Blizzard. Joe, what a day it is. Paul Pescasolido inducted in the Hall of Fame. You and I have battled on the field, North York Rockets, Toronto Blizzard, but this guy was a star for his country and for his team. Talk about Paul Pescasolido.
Yeah, I think the journey to try to get Paul was actually a hard one at the beginning. We didn't have the first round draft choice at the time. Myself and Tony Taylor really were studying what our goals were going to be, and Paul was very high on our list. And we actually made a trade. And if I'm not mistaken, it might have actually been with the Rockets.
Yes.
And we grabbed the first pick, and actually we were celebrating before we even announced Paul, and it was a great addition. And, you know, as they say, the rest was history.
Probably the worst trade in North York Rockets history, Joe. Thanks for reminding me of that. Joe, let's talk about Paul Pescasolido, the player. A lot of people counted him out because of his size. He was small, but his heart was huge. And today, we see the smaller player getting all sorts of respect. And why? Because they've got good technical ability. They've got it good upstairs in their mind. And that's what Paul Pescasolido brought to the table each and every time.
Yeah, no, Paul was an exceptional player. Even when he was a young player at 16 to 18 years old, he had not only the heart, but the determination, wouldn't shy back from any challenges. And the one thing that I think separated Paul from everybody else is he would take players on 1v1 and use his pace and his aggressiveness, and he was confident. And again, the height is one thing, but when you're short, you got the mobility, the agility, and the desire that he had was unbelievable.
He was fiercely Canadian, proud to be a Canadian. And when he wore that jersey, there was something different aside from wearing the old Toronto Blizzard jersey. He put it into another gear because he knew what it meant to play for his country. Talk about that.
Yeah, no, Paul was, again, from the East End in Scarborough, Wexford, if I recall, and stuff. And again, with us, Tony was a great coach, taught Paul a little more technical part of the game. He started defending two sides of the ball, but again, he was proudly Canadian and wouldn't give up. He was a type of guy that if there was a wall, he would never go around it, he'd go through it. He was a great player and a great addition to Canada, not only the Toronto Blizzard, and an ambassador for the Canadian Soccer League. And actually, the funny part was it went full circle when Tony was let go, unfortunately, by us and went to England. We had the first call he made was to myself, and we arranged the trade, and we sold Paul to Tony, and the rest in England was Paul made his own legacy there.
Joe, the last thing is this, the old Canadian Soccer League, the first Canadian Soccer League that went coast to coast, from the Victoria Vistas to the Nova Scotia Clippers, it was a real pro league, and players got paid a decent salary. Talk about how that league produced players like Paul Pescasolido, Alex Bunbury, we can go on and on, Lyndon Hooper. Let's talk about how important it is for this country to have a league coast to coast.
Well, I think it's more than important. I think it's a must. I mean, the CFL has been going on for years and years. I think that one there is a legacy that, if I recall, we've had over 100 players from the Canadian Soccer League in professional leagues of various divisions in Europe and elsewhere. And again, even Jason Devos, I think, was just starting out when we were on the tail ends and stuff. But it produced a lot of players, a lot of competition. And again, it's homegrown, and they were under our auspices. So when we had to release them for national team duty, there was no ands, ifs, or buts. And I remember when I ran Hamilton for the first couple of years and then the Toronto Blizzard for 5, our average salaries back then, which people thought were modest, we had $20,000 to $30,000 salaries. I brought in Edinho, who made a large amount of money too, and from there, you know, unfortunately, it didn't go the way that we should have, and I believe that we have to really push hard to try to get another Canadian league across Canada.
We'll close it out with this, Joe. I have one memory that sticks out in my mind about Paul Pescasolido, and then you give me yours. The memory that I'll never forget. Centennial Stadium, Etobicoke, North York and Toronto in extra time. Paul Pescasolido goes around, Paulo Ciccarelli puts it in the net. You guys go on to play Vancouver, and then you guys get your, you know what, handed to you. But what is the memory that you'll never forget about Paul Pescasolido?
Well, I think for us, it was representing Canada. I think club teams are great for us, and the Blizzard gave me a lot of memories, but actually when you have one of your players representing the Canadian team, and I've been fortunate enough to be on the 86 World Cup team and also the women's national team, there's no better feeling than to wear that, and to have your players on the pitch representing Canada is, to me, is the ultimate. Not a Toronto Blizzard memory, but actually a Canadian national team memory.
Well said. Joe Parolini, former general manager of the Toronto Blizzard. Thanks again for taking time, and it's great to see you that you're healthy and back out there, Joe.
Thank you very much, and all the best to you for a great job.
Joe Parolini.